All right, well, good morning, everybody. How's it going? I'm Dr. Michael Bailey, and I'm the Homeland Security Studies Director here at Laredo College. And this is truly my honor and my privilege to be the Master of Ceremony for you today. As we begin our program, I'd first like to offer a gentle reminder to everybody to please silence all of your electronic devices. We have some honored guests and some somber moments coming up, and we really don't want to have it ruined by text messages coming in, because I would be the one. Ooh, I better check. No, just kidding. All right, check. All right. Okay. Well, obviously, due to COVID protocol, last year we weren't able to hold a live ceremony. So instead of reminiscing about times missed, I think this is just a great opportunity to show that it's an extra special program this year. It has a lot of sentiment and a lot of emotion that we're able to gather in person and share the bonds of brotherhood. Okay, I want to start off with a little opening remark, and I don't think it's inappropriate to borrow from Winston Churchill. In a speech he gave after the Battle of Britain, he was famous for saying, "Never was so much owed by so many to so few." And I think that's very appropriate today, because our veterans are what drives the United States. And all of the veterans' accomplishments are where our country rests. And I think this is a great opportunity to recognize that today. Okay. So with that having been said, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and dignitaries, welcome to the 2021 Laredo College Veterans Day Observance Ceremony. Now, first of all, I would like to start off with our invocation. Ms. Crystal Lansford, would you please come up here? E5, Staff Sergeant, United States Air Force.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. And please bear with me for the length, I believe that I tried to prepare this invocation from my heart. And please, if you would bow your heads and join us in prayer. Heavenly Father, as we gather this morning to honor our veterans, we acknowledge the debt of gratitude we owe them for our freedom and ask that you bless them and meet all of their needs. We pray for you to give them peace when they suffer from past trauma, bring healing to those still hurting, and grant patience and wisdom to those around him who cannot understand. We pray that every veteran of our nation's armed forces feel truly and appropriately honored. Please let no veteran feel forgotten or neglected. Father, please place those who understand or strive to understand in the path of our veterans so they may feel less alone. Please, Lord, reward those men and women who have sacrificed for the peace and safety of family and friends and others they've never known. Bless them far beyond their expectations and reward them richly for all they have given. Most importantly, Lord, please draw each veteran closer to you and grant them all the peace that surpasses understanding, the peace of Christ to rule in their hearts. Lord, please motivate our peers and our students to honor our veterans by surpassing the traditional courteous thank you, by taking the time to engage in a conversation with a veteran. Please provide the insight to understand that sharing their stories can enable the veteran to better process his or her experience, serve to bridge the ever-expanding military-civilian divide, connect the past and present to the future, demonstrate honor and respect to and from our ancestors, and awaken future generations to their potential. Lord, guide us in understanding that capturing and collecting stories from veterans not only helps preserve their memory, but also serves to help shed light on the important role these men and women played in our country. Please grant us the wisdom and the future of our educational mission to move forward, but also preserve and learn from our past. Please guide us in creating a holistic and synergized blend of academics without abandoning the humanities in order to provide well-rounded opportunities for students to not only be prepared for the workforce, but also broaden their perspective and develop as human beings. Please guide us in teaching and allow our students to think critically, creatively, and independently, cultivate deeper understandings of themselves and others, and learn to embrace and cherish differences in others as a tool for personal growth, an avenue to discover commonalities that unite rather than divide in a time when our society so desperately needs the healing those qualities provide. In closing, Lord, please inspire everyone in this room to take advantage of the remarkable opportunity we have on the Fort McIntosh campus through a simple exercise to connect with the times of those who walked these same paths and occupied the houses long before most of us were born. We will never hear the stories that surround us in the walls and streets of this historic landmark from Lieutenant Colonel John Simmons McIntosh, Corporal Quentin Maravillo, or Private David B. Barclay Cantu. We do, however, have the ability to create a connection with those who served on these grounds and preserve an image of that history simply through the diminishing art of creativity and imagination. Lord, please challenge each of us to at least once in our time on this campus to take a moment to look at the historic buildings, close our eyes, and imagine these buildings and streets filled with young soldiers similar in age to our students. Picture these young soldiers headed not to an English class, but instead preparing for war, preparing not for an exam, but for a day that might be their last on this earth. Lastly, picture the many individual differences between this group of soldiers. Inspire us to use your beautiful gift of the ability of our brains to experience, imagine narratives as if they are real, and the innate ability to create a connection, even if imagined, with the soldiers for whom this campus was constructed, why they were here, the difference and commonalities between them, and more importantly, the joint sacrifices they made for our country and for what would become our future. Please inspire us to use this ability to honor our veterans as citizens who strive to create a more peaceful and harmonious society. Amen. Thank you.
Okay, so if I could have everybody please stand for the posting of the colors by the American Legion Post 59 Color Guard, commanded by Guadalupe Alvarez. Thank you. If you will remain standing for the national anthem, I'd like to bring up Mr. Ed Gonzalez, a Vietnam veteran, United States Navy.
Whoa, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose but stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
One final thing, while we are still standing, I would like to call on Mr. Stephen Aguilar, Sergeant United States Army, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, everybody, please be seated. Now, in a point in our program where I would like to introduce Ms. Lupita Cepeda, President of the Laredo College Board of Trustees, and I would like to ask her to come up and speak with us briefly here.
Good morning. I'm very humbled and honored to be here today. It's a very special day for our Laredo College Fort Mac campus to honor our veterans. At this time, I'd like for all our veterans that are in the audience to please stand so we can honor you and recognize you. On behalf of our college board of directors, we welcome you and we thank you for your service. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, I'd like to bring up Dr. David Arrezola, who's the interim provost, vice president of academic affairs and compliance here at Laredo College, with the opening remarks and the welcome announcement.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Laredo College, the #1 community college in Texas. I want to thank all of you for coming out today. I know that during this Veterans Day week, there are a lot of ceremonies going around the community, a lot of places to go. So we really appreciate that you chose to spend this morning here with us today. I want to remind everybody that on this occasion, it's easy to forget, but we should do it every day, right? We should reflect on past sacrifices, on the individuals among us who may have devoted their entire lives or part of their lives to the sacrifice of serving our country in the armed forces. It is also an occasion, and again, something we should do every day, to appreciate those who serve, who continue to serve, who are married to someone who served, who are mother and father to someone who served, right? And we honor a lot of the individuals who are here today. I can speak for a short number of folks who I work with on a daily basis. Dr. Bailey, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Aguilar, Dr. Carranza, Mr. Cano, who's not in today, but I know in working with the veterans, I'm not a veteran myself, but in working with them, I know they bring that sense of duty, that sense of loyalty that they have to their country. They bring that to work every day, and for that, I thank them and I recognize them, right? So, to the courageous men and women who serve, or who have served, to their families, Laredo College will forever owe a debt of gratitude for your selflessness, for your sacrifice, for your courage in defense of our American ideals and liberty. In closing, I want to just say thank you for bravely doing what you were called to do so that we can safely do what we are free to do. Thank you.
Right now, we do have a special guest representing Congressman Cuellar's office, and I would like to have them come up right now and say a few words at our ceremony.
Good morning, everyone. I was hoping to get away with it and not have to come up here. Guess I couldn't. I'm still trying to compose myself from that beautiful national anthem earlier from Eduardo Gonzalez. That was very touching. First off, I want to apologize for Congressman Cuellar. He's traveling, so unfortunately he couldn't attend this morning, but he did send me something he'd like me to read for you. Good morning. I want to wish you a happy belated Veterans Day. On this day, we recommit ourselves to honoring our veterans and their families. We recommit ourselves to standing up for what is right, even in the face of adversity and hardship. And we recommit ourselves to ensuring veterans and their families have the resources they need to live meaningful lives long after they have hung up their uniforms. Today is a day of both reflection and celebration. I wish I could have been with you on this day, but I'm working tirelessly for you and your families. I'm excited and look forward to representing your community. Thank you to all the veterans out there and their families for the sacrifice you have made. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your families for the liberties that we get to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, before we get to our special recognitions here, there's a few other things we'd like to get out of the way. We're just going to make sure that we recognize everybody who deserves the recognition here today. But in the meantime, what I'd like to do is I would like to reemphasize something that Dr. Arrezola had said about veterans and their service. I don't know of any veterans yet who has served by themselves. Every veteran has family, has loved ones, has sons, daughters, or parents who care and support and suffer along with their sacrifice. So the veterans are also needing to recognize the families too, because they suffer and they serve the same as the veterans themselves. So while we are here to recognize the veterans, it's also important, like Dr. Arrezola said, we recognize the families too, because they serve as well. So while we are still recognizing our distinguished guests, we have some other board of trustee members, and I would like to recognize them before we proceed with our program. If you'll stand as you're called so we can recognize you for your contributions. Ms. Lupita Cepeda, President of the Board. Mr. Jorge J.D. Delgado, Vice President. Dr. Henry Carranza, Trustee. Ms. Cynthia Maras, Trustee. And County Commissioner Cindy Liendo, sorry, trying to read it. Thank you very much for being here. It adds a lot to our program that the community supports our ceremony here. Now I can go back to what I inadvertently started before, and this is the best part of the program. This is where we get to acknowledge the commitment and the service of our veterans. The first special recognition award that I want to read, the way this is going to go is I'm going to read the bio, and then we're going to bring the person up here so that everybody can actually meet the person as well and share their sacrifice and commitment. So our first special recognition is going to be to a World War II veteran. And I think it's awesome that we actually have a World War II veteran here today because, as they've been dubbed, it was the greatest generation. And everything we have was based upon the service of our World War II veterans. It was a very perilous time, and I appreciate the service and sacrifice. So our World War II special awardee today is going to be Mr. Antonio Carranco. Serial number, you still remember your serial number, sir? Yeah. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Private First Class, United States Army Air Corps, 25th Bomber Squadron. Antonio Carranco was born here in Laredo, Texas on December 15th, 1922, to Guadalupe Alanis Carranco and Rosendo Carranco. They were living at a private residence at 710 San Agustin here in Laredo at the time of his birth. He attended Central Elementary School and L.J. Christian Middle School up to the 8th grade, as he had to drop out of school to go to work. He was only 8 years old at the onset of the Depression and witnessed how the challenging times compelled the entire family to work. 20 years old at the time of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, unaware of even where it was geographically and influenced by his peers, Antonio determined he would support his country by joining the military. On November 4th, 1942, Antonio and a group of his friends traveled to Fort Sam Houston Military Recruiting Center in San Antonio, where he was sworn into the United States Army. After enlisting, he was assigned as a recruit to the Army Air Corps. Assigned to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, he received training in physical fitness, small arms, and basic military requirements. Private Carranco always had an interest in mechanics, and his mechanical aptitude rendered him assignment as an engine mechanic of the 25th Bomb Squadron aboard the B-24 heavy bomber. Training in the technical aspect of the B-24, he divided his training between Kingsville Military Base and Keesler Military Base, where he prepared for combat duty in the Pacific Theater of Operations. At the completion of his training at the Kingsville Military Base, he was transferred to Lackland Army Air Corps Base for additional training in the B-24 operating systems. Upon completion of his training at Lackland Army Air Corps Base, he was transferred to March Field near San Francisco for final training. Before he was being forwarded to the Western Pacific in preparation for the invasion of Japan. After dropping of the 2 atomic bombs by President Harry Truman on the Japanese heartland, Japan surrendered and the war ended for Private First Class Antonio Carranco. He was immediately placed on troop train bound for Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and he was released from active duty. Prior to his departure from California, he received his honorable discharge from the United States Army Air Corps at Fort MacArthur Separation Center on February 21st, 1946. For his service to his country, he received the following commendations: the American Campaign Medal, the World War II Victory Medal, and the Good Conduct Medal. He served his entire tour of duty within the continental United States. After returning to his family in Laredo, he attended the Laredo Business College, where he learned accounting, bookkeeping, and shorthand. He received his GED at the Laredo Boys Club And he and his new wife moved to San Antonio, where he worked using his military training at Kelly Field as a mechanic on aircraft engines. After 18 years in San Antonio, Private Antonio Carranco returned to Laredo, where he spent the remainder of his working life with his family. Mr. Carranco was very happy and proud to have had the opportunity to serve his country in its time of need. At this time, I would like to request Mr. Carranco come to the stage and receive a certificate of appreciation on behalf of the Hawks Brigade from the Elias Herrera Middle School. Private First Class Antonio Carranco. Thank you, and I'd like to say again, Mr. Carranco, thank you very much for your service to our great nation. Now, the next special recognition award is going to be to a Gold Star mother. A Gold Star mother, for those of you who may not be familiar, is a mother who has lost her child in the line of duty. So it's a very somber event, and we're very lucky to have her here today. I would like to read the biography here real quick. This is for Ms. Elizabeth Holguin, mother of David Lee Espinosa. First of all, I would like to give a little background on David Lee Espinosa. He was an above average student who excelled in all of his classes and was never a problem to his teachers. That's pretty rare right there, so that shows class and character. He liked sports and was very actively involved in athletics while in school. David Lee always showed an interest in the military and in the Marine Corps in particular. Always got his attention in high school. He always expressed his desire to become a Marine. David had friends whose family members were Marines, and this always fascinated him. Born on July 10th, doesn't have the year here. In Laredo, David was educated in the USID school system in Rio Bravo, just south of Laredo. He attended and graduated from LBJ High School in Laredo, Texas in May of 2019, and immediately made plans to join the United States Marine Corps with some of his friends. Sworn into the Marine Corps at the Marine Corps Recruiting Center, San Antonio, on August 12, 2019, he was immediately shipped off to Marine Corps Training Center in San Diego, California for basic training. He did well and was scheduled to graduate with his class in November of 2019. However, due to an injury, he did not graduate until January 20th of 2020. During basic training, he received physical training, military indoctrination, small arms, hand-to-hand, and infantry training. All of this far more stringent than the training of the other branches of the service. At the conclusion of his basic training, he was transferred to Camp Pendleton, California for further infantry, small arms, hand-to-hand, and desert indoctrination. At the conclusion of his advanced training, Lance Corporal Espinosa received orders to report to the military base in Jordan for further duty. Ms. Elizabeth Holguin. Elizabeth Holguin is the wife of Victor Dominguez and the mother of David Lee Espinosa and 4 other siblings. Her family consisted of 2 boys and 2 girls, all younger than David Lee Espinosa. Elizabeth was not happy with her oldest son's decision to join the Marines, but since he had his heart set on joining, she supported his decision. It made him happy. Therefore, like any mother, she was happy. All went well until he was injured in basic training. Recovering completely, though, David Lee was able to rejoin his unit. Ms. Holguin was very saddened when her son received orders to a base in Jordan in the Middle East. With pressure building up for the United States military, she knew her son was going into a dangerous location. She stayed in contact with David Lee via phone often, sometimes twice weekly. During the last call, she noticed a tone in his voice that indicated concern about his mission to Afghanistan. At that time, she was not fully aware of the political turmoil in the area. Watching the news, however, she knew her son was going to a very dangerous place. Elizabeth Holguin knew when she hung up from the last phone call with her son David that he was in trouble, and within the next couple of days, she had a strong feeling that her son was in extreme pain. She knew to herself what had happened. A mother knows. Ms. Holguin then received the news that her son had been killed in Afghanistan. Upon receiving the news of her son's passing, she immediately became a Gold Star mother. A Gold Star mother is any mother who has lost a son or daughter in combat while serving this country. The Marine Corps Casualty Assistance Calls officer assigned to her case explained this to her. The Gold Star Mother program was established to bring attention and support to those mothers who have lost sons or daughters in combat. It was established to bestow honor and show appreciation to those mothers for their loss. Military mothers agree that they never lose contact with their sons or daughters, regardless of where they are deployed in the service to this country. There is that special link that allows the mother to know that at the same time when her son is in peril, it's a spiritual tie that links the mother to the son. A lady with strong Christian beliefs, Ms. Holguin acknowledges that the outpouring of support from her family, friends, and the community has carried her through this difficult time. The support of her family and friends of community will continue to enable her to carry on. At this time, I would like to ask Mrs. Elizabeth Holguin to come on stage to receive the certificate of appreciation from the Hawks Brigade of Herrera Middle School. Thank you. Now, our final special recognition award is to a Gold Star daughter, and that is for Mr. Victor H. Haig, First Lieutenant, U.S. Army Air Forces, World War II. First Lieutenant Victor Haig, 27, son of Mr. and Mrs. Theo M. Haig, was killed in the crash of an Army plane in Burma on August 13th, 1945, one day before the end of hostilities in World War II. A 1936 graduate of Fredericksburg High School and a star guard on the school's football team for 2 years, he attended Texas Lutheran College and received his BS degree in pharmacy from the University of Texas in 1940. Entering the service in January 1943, he trained at Shepherd Field, Texas, Texas Technical College in Lubbock, Texas, San Antonio Aviation Cadet Center, Curtis Field, and Brady and Goodfellow Field in San Antonio. Awarded his wings and commissioned a second lieutenant upon completion of his training at Lubbock Army Airfield, he graduated as a pilot in Class 44B. Later training at Barksdale Field in Louisiana and Syracuse Army Airfield, Louisville, Kentucky, he was promoted to first lieutenant in November 1944. He left for overseas duty from Bear Field in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Stationed in the China, Burma, and India Theater as a pilot of a C-46, Haig received the Distinguished Flying Cross with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Air Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters, and the Theater Ribbon with 2 battle stars for his overseas duty. Prior to entering military service, he was employed at Patane's Pharmacy in San Antonio and later obtained civil service position as a pharmacist at Kelly Field in San Antonio. Surviving him at the time of his death were his wife Edna Sandstrom Haig and daughter Vernette. Lieutenant Haig saw his daughter Vernette one time before reporting for duty. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Vernette Carranza to come up on stage to receive a certificate of appreciation on behalf of Herrera Middle School Hawks Brigade. Thank you. Now, to me, that was the bright spot of the ceremony, recognizing our service members and their families. It truly is a touching moment, and I appreciate being a part of that today. Now, to continue on, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker. It's Guadalupe Alvarez, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, Commander of American Legion Post 59 Honor Guard, Chaplain, American Legion Post 59, and Chaplain, Disabled Veterans, and Postmaster retired from the U.S. Postal System. Mr. Alvarez, would you please come up here? I thought you'd be down there.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say thank you to our honored guests and to everybody that's here. This morning, we're here to honor those who served. Then I'm brought back to, we all served. The mothers, the fathers, friends and family who supported the veterans. Not only did we serve during the times that we were called, but some of us veterans just don't know when to quit. We keep serving, giving back to the community. One example is last night. All the veterans were going down to get a free meal at the Golden Corral. My commander of the Disabled American War Veterans pulled me aside and said, "Can you help us?" We registered over 90 veterans for their benefits. You see, there's a lot of benefits that we don't know about the veterans and the family. And this is all for the community. There's not only medical benefits, a whole bunch of the majority of the veterans that are not disabled don't go to the clinic, and they don't know about the rest of the benefits. As a chaplain, I pray that one day we all veterans, all families, all friends, teach each other about the benefits we have. I am also serving as the Vice Chairman of the City Council Veterans Subcommittee to bring the issues forward that the veterans don't know about. As the commander of the Honor Guards, we pay tribute and we honor those veterans that gave. Keep on giving, for they all gave some. Some gave 2, 4, 6, 10, some 20 years, but they gave. Some just gave all. One time they asked me, "What is a hero? Are you a hero?" I'm not a hero. I am so fortunate to have walked among them. I cherish the privilege, the pleasure, the honor. One of my heroes, Carol Summers, is here. I was going to read up my favorite poem, High Flight. I misplaced it. I'm normal. I'm average. I'm no hero. High Flight starts with, "I have slipped the early bonds of earth," and it ends with, "Reached out my hand and touched the hand of God." The funeral honors those veterans that are called heroes, but I think the real heroes are the mothers and the fathers who gave us the education, the life, the freedom of expression to be able to do what we did, to raise our hand, answer the call, and be the children our parents warned us about. My dad used to say, "Mejor solo que mal acompañado." Then he turned around and said, in his case, mal acompañado cuando anda solo. I also served as the commandant for the Laredo Detachment 895 Marine Corps League. And in the Marine Corps League, we assist the Marine Corps Reserve in collecting toys for tots. That is an unselfish, but I call it selfish because of the self-gratitude. Seeing those children's faces, those children that don't have anything else, and they get a toy for Christmas. I had the experience one time that they all got in a row and we put the toys on a table and they passed by, picked up the toy and took it home. There was one child said, "Mm-mm." I said, "What's the matter, mijo?" He said, "My mother told me that if it's not mine, not to touch it." I told him, "Well, Santa Claus sent us to give you the toy. It's yours." We keep on giving. although I am not, well, should I say I'm not active duty? Because this is not a duty, it's a pleasure to serve the community. The American Legion gives me the opportunity to serve and serve and serve. If it weren't for the American Legion, I would not be serving. These flags, they represent all those children that grew up, yes, children. They were teenagers. Some said to the government, I'm 18, and they were actually 16. Some heroes, they got the highest commendations in the military. And then when the truth came out that they were under 18, they kind of set that aside. You'll see the collection boxes for Toys for Tots around the city. And remember all those children. We don't do it for us. We do it for the children. Those smiling faces that see for the first time somebody cares. Veterans. We gather here to show their appreciation for those who fought to defend the freedoms that we have, the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression, freedom to choose our own representatives and recall taxation without representation when the must know, the freedom of religion, separate from the government to dictate to us who or what to believe in. If I could quote, Abraham Lincoln said it best, November 19, 1863, when he wrote, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. We therefore resolve to protect and defend the Constitution for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, where all men are created equal, as long as we can protect and defend it for God and country. It's what veterans do. Our American sons and daughters who left, sacrificed to serve. But the real heroes were the ones that stayed behind. Behind here in the United States and at war. Behind a foreign place where they did not know. Our freedom of assembly, our freedom of speech, freedom of the press, religion, due process, just to name a few. We elect our leaders to represent us in our best interest in the way of life. And our veterans, soldiers, sailors, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. Yes, the Coast Guard. While we were away fighting in different lands, the Coast Guards protected the United States. So I admire the Coast Guards also, for they did their part. We all did their parts. And now we have another defender out in space. It's a silent witness to what's going on. We help maintain the liberties. We assemble. We have cookouts, celebrations. We gather. And in effect, the efforts of those brave Americans joined with the allies in uniform to form a bond against tyranny and the threat of our way of life, to achieve peace, to end the war. November 11, at 11 o'clock, the armistice was signed. In 1918, on the 11th month, at the 11th hour, on the 11th day, there were over 60 heads of states who gathered in Paris to sign the armistice. That was the truth, a ceasefire. They signed to end the hostilities, to end the pain, to end the suffering between Germany and the Allies. We agreed to stop hurting each other in the front, to discuss the permanent peace rather than a surrender. Today we honor the heroes who served and sacrificed part of our life, liberty, and defend our way of life. On a distant shore, our veterans answered the call. When they left, they raised their right hand and left the comforts of home, took up arms for a righteous cause, for God and country. Some gave all, 2, 4, 6, 20 years, and some gave all the rest of their life. we say, we feel in your hearts, really. Let God look favorably upon us with admiration for the willingness for God and country, that we protect us against tyranny and oppression and miseries, and let us call this place a nation under God, with pride and honor, the United States of America. May God bless the sons and daughters who are willing to give their all, for there's no greater love than he who gives his life for God and country. It is a sobering thought to even go there and think the possibilities that such service and sacrifice could exist. But it is with great pride that we accept a noble cause that makes our hearts stronger, that we gratefully call to duty for God and country. After all, we are the children our parents warned us about, and I remember being asked, son, if your friends jumped off the cliff, would you do it? I joined the Marine Corps. It's called rappelling. Let us say thank you to those who inspire us, who push us to do better. Those are the heroes. The veterans, they stopped the Great War with their service and sacrifice, but without mothers and fathers, we would not be here. I will not dwell on history, for there are so many, but without words, we cannot convey the gratitude of these sons and daughters who went, served, give comfort to the liberty and freedoms that we enjoy. They gave so much and they got so little. How can we ever thank them? My colonel says, by living as if that sacrifice was worth, and it was not in vain. We say thank you, veterans. Like I said, I am not a hero, but I am blessed to have walked among them. In closing, let me say, God bless the mothers that raised normal children. But I salute the mothers that gave the children our parents warned us about. Those children we now call veterans. God bless America, land of the free, because of those brave. Thank you.
The Herrera Middle School Hawks Brigade will be presenting a certificate to our guest speaker, Mr. Alvarez, as well. Absolutely. No such thing. Okay, now we come to the part of the program where we are having the retiring of the colors by the American Legion Post 59 Color Guard, commanded by Guadalupe Alvarez. please stand for the retiring of the colors. Okay, with that, brings us to the conclusion of our program for our 2021 Veterans Day Observance Ceremony. I'd like to thank all of our honored guests for being here today and for sharing a part of their lives with us. I would also like to thank the Herrera Middle School Hawks Brigade for being here to present the certificates to our honored guests. And of course, thank